Confused about how to plan for your retirement? Shawn Maloney is here to help. Shawn has created the Retire Happy framework that considers more than just how much you should save. Getting information and tools to preserve your financial future is minutes away. Welcome to the Priority of Retirement with your host, Shawn Maloney.
Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of the Priority of Retirement, where we dive into the aspects of retirement planning for a happy retirement. I'm your host, Shawn Maloney, and today we have a very special guest who is widely regarded as the retirement income expert. Join us. I'm going to start that again. Take two. Edit that one out. Start again. All right, 3, 2, 1. Welcome to another episode of the Priority of Retirement, where we delve into the aspects of retirement planning for a happy retirement. I'm your host, Shawn Maloney, and today we have a very special guest who is widely regarded as the retirement expert in the industry. Joining us is Tom Hegna with a lot of credentials back behind him. I'll let him explain that. He's an accomplished author, speaker, and economist with an impressive background as a former senior executive officer at New York Life and a retired lieutenant colonel with over 5,000 seminars under his belt and a wealth of knowledge distilled into his best-selling books. Tom has been instrumental in guiding many baby boomers and seniors toward an optimal retirement. Get ready to learn how to retire happy, secure, as we delve into Tom's proven strategies and insights. Tom, welcome.
Thank you, Shawn. Great to be with you.
Appreciate it. Of course, this is the Priority Retirement podcast. You're widely known as the retirement expert. I know I've looked up to you for a long time and read all your books and seminars and gained a lot of knowledge from you. So as we dive in, for those of you that may not be familiar with Tom, I'm going to ask Tom just give a kind of introduction and his background to everybody.
Sure. So I'm originally from a small town in Minnesota. I went to college at North Dakota State University on an Army ROTC scholarship. I was commissioned in the military. I spent 6 years active duty Army, served over in Germany, at Fort Ord, California, down at Fort Huachuca a couple times, then spent 16 and a half years in the U.S. Army Reserve, retired as lieutenant colonel. I spent almost 30 years in the insurance industry. I was an agent and manager, a national marketing manager for MetLife. I was there for 8 years. Then I went to New York Life for 15 years. I started out as an annuity wholesaler and worked my way up to one of the top officers in the company, a senior executive officer. I retired from New York Life in 2011. I've now written 6 books. 5 of them are on retirement and how to retire the optimal way, because right now, if you ask 50 different people how you're supposed to retire, you're going to get 50 different opinions. But there aren't 50 optimal formulas to do it. There's one optimal formula. That's what I write about. That's what I speak about. And just so you know, I'm now 70% retired myself. So I'm not just walking the walk. I'm not just talking the talk. I am walking the walk.
That's fantastic. Look forward to the day where I can follow in your footsteps with that one. Well, 2 of the books that I really enjoy, are like all your books, but Paychecks and Playchecks, and then Don't Worry, Retire Happy are 2 of my favorites. In fact, for those of you that stayed at the end of the podcast, we're going to have a special offer for you at the end of the podcast in regards to the Don't Worry, Retire Happy book. So Tom, can you, between those 2 books, can you give a kind of a high level synopsis, not synopsis of the book, but what are the main takeaways and what are the focuses of those 2 books?
Yeah, so Paychecks and Playchecks was really the math and science behind a successful retirement. It's based off the white papers of the top PhDs in the world. Most people don't read white papers. I did, and then I put them into English so people could understand it. Paychecks and Playchecks concludes with 4 very simple steps. Step number 1, you want to cover your basic living expenses in retirement with guaranteed lifetime income. Step number 2, you need to optimize the rest of your portfolio to protect yourself against inflation, because you can't just have income. You actually need to have increasing income for the rest of your life. Step number 3, you must have a plan for long-term care. No retirement plan is complete without a plan for long-term care. It's the one thing most people forget about that can wipe out their total life's work. And then step number 4, the most efficient way to pass wealth to children, grandchildren, and charities is with life insurance. I tell people all the time, don't leave your kids any money. You're not supposed to. You're supposed to spend all your money, leave them life insurance, because you can do that for pennies on the dollar. So that's Paychecks and Playchecks. Now, Don't Worry, Retire Happy This was my book that was on PBS. There was a PBS TV special by the same title, and this has 6 steps. And you say, well, 6, why that one had 4? This was TV. We had to add a few. And actually, there's basically 7, and I would even add one more. But step number 1, you got to have a plan. You know, when I started on this business, so 40 years ago, people said, you know, people don't plan to fail, they fail to plan. Well, that was true 40 years ago, but it's just as true today. You got to have a plan, and you need to work with a financial professional. Retirement's not a do-it-yourself project. Step number 2, you want to understand and maximize your Social Security benefits. See, Social Security is the largest retirement asset most people have, and yet they spend more time planning their summer vacation than learning how to get the most of those valuable benefits. Right. Step number 3, consider a hybrid retirement. That's what I'm doing. Instead of just going cold turkey from work to retirement, kind of ease in there and do a few things. Even if it's just part-time, even if it's something you love to do, it can help your retirement significantly. Step number 4, you've got to plan for inflation. You know, inflation was dead for 30 years. It's not dead anymore. And so you need to have some investments that can keep up with inflation. Step number 5 is all about guaranteed lifetime income. That has to be a cornerstone, foundational part of retirement. Step number 6, you got to have a plan for long-term care. Step number 7, use your home equity wisely, because for many people, their house is one of the largest assets they have. And I go through some ways to do that. And then I conclude with the most efficient way to pass wealth to children, grandchildren, and charities is with life insurance. So there's a little bit of overlap. I would say Paychecks and Playchecks goes deeper, and Don't Worry, Retire Happy is broader about the retirement. That's what I would say.
Gotcha. That makes sense. I mean, the big takeaway there, folks, is that, you know, like we've talked about many times, is you have to have a plan, right? Too many people, like Tom said, spend too much time or enough time spending time planning on their vacation, but not enough time planning their retirement that's going to, you know, be an impact for you for the rest of your life. And as we say around here, you know, and as Tom says, you want to retire happy, and that happy factor is that guaranteed income, that, you know, covering those needs in retirements is just critical. Is just critical. So, hey, Tom, out of those critical factors, you know, when we're talking about, really what we're doing is planning income for retirement, right? We're doing income planning, right? So explain a little bit to people, you know, when we say retirement income planning, in your mind, how would you explain that to someone as far as what is retirement income planning?
Well, retirement income planning is really risk management as well. You know, it's having income for the rest of your life. Number 1, making sure that you never run out of money. Number 2, that you have adequate income to do the things that you want to do in retirement. And number 3, that income should be growing over time. And there's numerous ways you can do that. But that's what I would say income planning is just making sure that you never, ever, ever run out of money, no matter what. And that whether the market's up or the market's down, or interest rates are high or interest rates are low, or, you know, what's going on in the world, that you're going to be okay financially in retirement. And that's what I talk about. That's what I write about.
Perfect. And, you know, you mentioned earlier, you know, about reading white papers and all the experts that are out there. And I find it fascinating when you look at some of the PhDs and Nobel Prize winners that have really put their mark on this topic. I know it's hard to do, but you know, you mentioned math and science, right? This comes down to math and science, and it's really all about the numbers. So, and we say a lot, like your grandparents and parents, you know, retirement is not the same as today's. Our retirement's a little bit different. And when it comes into the math and science side of things, how does that play out? If someone hears that, how would you explain, how is it about math and science to make this the optimal retirement plan?
Well, because there's so many variables, and that's why I say there's a difference between optimal and best. See, nobody knows what's going to be the best for retirement. If we knew gold was going to hit 10,000 an ounce, we should all put our money in gold. If we knew Bitcoin was going to be $1 million Bitcoin, we should all put our money in Bitcoin. If we knew that the stock market was going to hit 100,000, we should all put our money in the stock market. The problem is nobody knows what's going to be the best. And what math and science does when there's all these different variables, interest rates up, interest rates down, Democrats, Republicans, budget deficit, you know, budget surplus, all these different variables, they look for the optimal. And the best explanation for optimal, it's your best chance of having the best solution and never having the worst solution. Okay, so what it does is it tries to take all these different variables and just make a recommendation that this is the best chance of having the best outcome, and that's optimal. And so that's the best we can hope for, and that's what math and science does. It tries to find optimal solutions when there's many variables out there. And just a baseline. And by the way, Ernst & Young, they just did they're an accounting firm. They have nothing to do with the insurance industry. They just did a study on the optimal solution for retirement. It came out almost exactly as to what I talk about. They said you should have 30% of your money in income annuities, 30% of your money in cash value life insurance, and 40% of your money in investments. Now, they're not in the insurance industry. They don't care, but that's what the math and science showed. BlackRock has done all these studies as well, and they say you've got to have guaranteed lifetime income. Now, BlackRock's not an insurance company. They got $9 trillion in the stock market, more than Fidelity, more than Vanguard. But they found you've got to have some guarantees in that portfolio to make sure it can last your entire retirement. You know, Dr. David Babel, Dr. Michael Finke, Dr. Wade Pfau, they've all done studies on this. Nobel Prize recipients, Dr. Robert C. Merton, Dr. William Sharp. So there's all this research, all the data out there where they've sliced and diced. And what if there's inflation? What if there's no inflation? What if the market's up? What if the market's down? You got to be able to succeed in retirement no matter what the market's doing.
No, that's fantastic. And I know about, most of our listeners, they're going to want an optimal retirement plan, and there's no guarantees in life, but why not optimize it to give you better chances? Like you said, it's about risk management and playing what the most optimal chances are, right? For
taxes. I mean, geez, yeah. The taxes are going to be astronomical. We're 34 trillion in debt. It's climbing $1 trillion every 100 days. I mean, it's totally unsustainable. And so whether you're Republican or Democrat, taxes are going to be a math problem. Okay. It's a math problem. Taxes are going to have to go up. So I've converted now all of my IRAs and 401ks to Roth, and I'm moving more of my personal wealth to cash value life insurance. My annual premium is $226,000 a year for life insurance. Now, if somebody thought life insurance was an expense, they'd say, that's stupid. That's ridiculous. Well, I know life insurance is not an expense. It's an asset on my balance sheet because every penny I put in there, plus a lot more, is in there, and it grows every year. And I can take that money out tax-free. And so I'm trying to position myself to get as much tax-free income in retirement as possible. And I would encourage your listeners to do the same.
Yeah, great advice. Great advice. I'm going to shift gears just for a second, then we'll get back on some other topics here. I'm curious of what made you transition from, being an officer, senior executive at New York Life to doing what you're doing now, being an author, speaker, economist, and whatnot. What was your passion and motive?
I was always going to do it at age 55. And then when I turned 50, they had this like early out buyout thing, and I took that. And that was the smartest thing I ever did. They gave me 5 more good years to do what I've always wanted to do. And I mean, it was risk. I had no guarantees of anything. I went out and just started a business all by myself, but it's been very successful, and the books have done very well. And I've helped a lot of people not make dumb mistakes with their money, and that's the thing when you're in retirement. And another thing you got to plan for, and people don't plan for this, dementia, Alzheimer's, because people start making really bad decisions with their money years before they're diagnosed with Alzheimer's and dementia. And so you can imagine if somebody had, $5 million in a stock portfolio, and they're their own stockbroker, and all of a sudden they started getting dementia, but they didn't really know it. And now they start doing stupid stuff with their money, and their money disappears. That's another real risk that's out there, and it doesn't get much press. But that's why, again, if you can have some guaranteed income and things like that, that can protect you from stuff like that, because that stuff's going to keep coming in whether you have dementia or not, And so it's all about having the right products in the right mix. I don't sell any financial products. I don't sell annuities. I don't sell life insurance. I don't sell long-term care insurance, but I own 13 annuities. I have big life insurance policy, and I have full benefit long-term care, unlimited benefit long-term care plan. So like I live everything I'm writing about. There's nothing in here that I say, oh, I'm going to tell other people to do this, but I'm not going to know. I do all of that.
Right. No, and it's a very valid point for listeners is that, just like when you're younger, if you're investing in the stock market and you want a diversified portfolio, your retirement plan needs to be diversified as well, right? You got to have your money in different products to, guaranteed income, but also to mitigate some of those other risks that we talk about in retirement. Those 5 or 6 main risks that we have. If it's all in one bucket, folks, there's not a one size fits all magic pill, one solution. It has to be across multiple investment products, annuities, life insurance. Sure, you're going to have to still invest in some equities to fight inflation, those kind of things. If you ever have someone that comes to you and tries to put everything in one bucket, you need to run. Right.
Yeah. And here's what I say about equities. I have some equity exposure as well, but I'm not naked in the stock market anymore. See, I think once you hit age 50 or 55, you should not be naked in the stock market. What do I mean by that? You should not just have a Schwab account and have your money in the stock market. If you really want equity exposure, there are vehicles that give you the unlimited upside, but manage the downside risk. You know, things like a RILA, a registered index-linked annuity, where you can get 100% of the index, but there's floors or there's buffers that you know the insurance company will eat the first 10 or 20% of loss. There's variable annuities that come with full principal guarantees over a 10-year period of time, that you get all the upside of the market, but over a 10-year period of time, they guarantee you won't lose a penny. And then anytime the market's up, you can re-extend that. So if you want to be equity heavy, I just wouldn't be naked in the stock market, because people forget the Japanese stock market crashed and it was down for over 30 years. The European stock market was down for over 20 years. We had our own lost decade here in America. What happens if you retire and you're 65 and the market goes down and stays down for 20 years? You're not going to be a very happy camper if you're naked in the stock market. But if you had one of those other products, when the market's down, at least you can get guaranteed lifetime income for the rest of your life at the amount that you originally put in, or whatever the guarantees in that contract are. So there are ways to stay in the market without having the full market risk.
Very valid point, because you can't be at the mercy of the market in retirement. We talk a lot about, you don't have that many cycles left to ride out those waves of the stock market.
Right. And we know, since this market has been just a raging bull market for about, almost 10 years now, that it's not going to continue forever. And the next downturn, whenever it is likely to be very bad, because we are in a bad fiscal situation in this country, very, very bad. And so I would definitely want to put some protections on I have protection on my money. No matter what the market does, I will retire happy.
Yeah. No, and speaking of it, speaking of economy, I know you kind of put your thoughts out yearly on what the economic outlook is for the year. How would you summarize 2024? Where the next 6 months are going to take us? I know we're in for a lot of different ups and downs, but
we're in a political environment that we've never seen before. It's just going to be nasty for the next 3 months anyway. But I think the market is pretty overextended, and yet the next move of interest rates is likely to be lower, and so that's typically good for the market. So, I mean, I'm not a raging bull right now. I'm not a raging bear. I do think there's some very, very bad times in our future, but not necessarily tomorrow. I've even said that I okay 1% of a portfolio into crypto, Bitcoin. I mean, I was the biggest Bitcoin non-believer in the world until I watched a guy, might have been Michael Saylor, somebody lay out this case, a believable case to a non-believer like me, that Bitcoin could sometime hit $1 million of Bitcoin. And I said, man, and he said, all we're recommending is that our wealthy clients put 1% of their portfolio into Bitcoin, because if it goes to zero, it won't hurt you. If it goes to $1 million, you're going to be happy you did it. Well, that resonated with me. And I put 1% of my portfolio in Bitcoin back when it was like $2,000 of Bitcoin. And now that 1% is worth a lot of money, and so I'm not a guy who sticks his head in the sand and just says, oh, buy only guarantees. No, there's a place for risk. There's a place for some speculation even. But I said 1%. I didn't say 20%. I didn't say 50%. I said 1% for speculation. And so I think I have an open mind on all the different products that are out there. I'm not biased one way or the other. I guess I came from the insurance industry, and I've seen the power of the products of the insurance industry, and they're certainly going to have a large role in my retirement because they offer me safety and guarantees. But I'm not opposed to looking at other investments. You talked about diversification. That is so important. But tax diversification is too. And most of your listeners have too much of their money in IRAs and 401ks. And they're going to be so disappointed when they thought they were going to get a lot of money out of there, and then the tax rate goes up to 70% and they only get 30% of their 401k. They're going to be fuming about that. And I'm telling people right now, start converting, start moving some of that to tax-free. Otherwise, you're going to get hammered by the tax man when all this stuff collapses. They're going to come after 401ks and IRAs. That's where they're going to get the money.
100%. I think tax planning today in retirement planning is more crucial than it has been ever, just because what you referred to earlier is, if we were betting people, taxes are going to go up, right? Like you said, with the national debt that we're at, and the level of we're at pretty much historically low tax brackets, there's only one direction this thing can go. And you really got to protect yourself before you get caught in the web in the middle of it. It's a lot harder to get out from the middle of it. You can plan for it ahead of time and protect yourself. 1,000%. So, one thing, we all like a good guarantee in life. We all like to be happy. And I remember you referenced an article that was put out in the Wall Street Journal a while back. If you could touch on that just for a second, where they talked about the link between retirement happiness and guaranteed income.
Yeah, I mean, I'll read the article right to you. It's right from the Wall Street Journal. The secret to a happier retirement is friends, neighbors, and a fixed annuity. And the Wall Street Journal studied who are the happiest people in retirement. You know what they found? People surrounded by their friends, surrounded by their families, who had guaranteed paychecks every single month. Think about the firefighters, the professors, the teachers. They got pensions. Well, what are pensions? They're lifetime income annuities. They're guaranteed paychecks for life. And so people who have those annuity payments, whether it's in the form of a pension, whether it's in the form of Social Security, because Social Security is a lifetime income annuity, and then you can always go to an insurance company, buy a lifetime income annuity. Those are the people who are the happiest. I got another thing unhappy. Where Time Magazine in Great Britain, here is lifetime income stream, key to retirement happiness. A new study in the land of grumps reveals that retirees with a guaranteed lifetime income stream can find true happiness. The American College, how annuities can increase happiness in retirement. When clients know how much income they will receive every month for life, they know what kind of housing and activities they can afford, allowing them to choose a lifestyle that will make them the happiest. And that resonates with me because you know what? I'm a golfer. And for 30 years, I couldn't justify joining a country club because I was on the road for 200 days a year for 30 years. Well, now I'm a member of 2 country clubs. Okay. I'm up here in Flagstaff in the summer. I'm down in Alta Mesa in the winter, and I play golf 4 to 5 days a week. It's a great deal if you play golf. It's not a great deal if you're on the road traveling, because there's a buy-in, there's monthly dues, there's minimum food and beverage. So I couldn't ever justify it. Now I have 2 of them. And my wife and I are going on a cruise. We went on a Panama Canal cruise. We went on a Mediterranean cruise for our 40th anniversary. We just got back from a Caribbean cruise where we've got a Canary Islands cruise line up in October. We're going to Australia on a cruise in the spring. And then we're doing a Viking Grand European tour next summer. I mean, we have designed the lifestyle that makes us the happiest. Now, somebody might look at my life and say, that sucks. I'd rather be out in the woods and have a cabin and go hunting and fishing every day. You can do that. Somebody else might say, I want to live in New York City and go to Broadway plays and eat fancy dinners. You can do that. If you have enough income coming in, you can design the lifestyle that makes you the happiest.
1,000%. I'm glad you mentioned that. We talk about that a lot. When we start working with somebody, the first thing we ask them is, what's your retirement why? What do you want to do in retirement? Let's define what's going to make you happy outside of set money aside for a second, right? What's going to make you fulfilled and happy? And then let's figure out how to make that happen. How do we back into that? How do we build your plan to fit into your retirement happiness? So we all want to be happy in retirement. So let's do the multiple fold. Well, first of all, the non-financial piece, what do you want to do? All right. Figure that out, whether it's sitting on the couch watching Netflix all day, or you want to travel the world or hunt and fish or whatever it is, then you build your financial plan around that. And you want that guaranteed. You want to know that you can go do those things, not only pay your bills, but then obviously go do those things that are going to make your retirement happy with those guarantees, right?
And here's something else. Guaranteed income helps you live longer. Let me read you a couple articles. So Freakonomics, they had a whole radio show. You can Google it. It's still on the internet. You can find it. But here's what they say. Research shows that people who buy annuities tend to live longer, and not just because they're the kind of people that have the money to buy annuities to start with. It's apparently that little extra incentive of the annuity payout that keeps people going. Oh, I can hang on for 1 more month. Yeah, I'm going to stick to that insurance company 1 more time. And they live longer. The best article I've ever read on that subject was published in the Journal for Financial Service Professionals. It was written by attorney Patrick Tricker. And here's what he found. In the United States, a 65-year-old male who purchases a life annuity can expect to live about 20% longer than a 65-year-old male who does not. Now, these are not insurance people writing this stuff. These are scientists, attorneys, mathematicians. Right. And then I got some stuff here from BlackRock. And like I told you, BlackRock doesn't sell any annuities, but let me read this to you. Adding guaranteed lifetime income combined with a more aggressive asset allocation generates 29% more annual spending ability for one's retirement savings and reduces downside risk by 33%. That's BlackRock. They don't do annuities.
Right. That's crazy. Yeah, I love the third party justifications and backings. It's
Yeah.
fabulous, right?
Oh,
People
I got a whole stack. I only read you a couple. I mean, I got pages and pages and pages and pages because it's all math and science. It's not opinions. These aren't my
Right.
opinions. This is the research of the top PhDs in the world.
I love it. I love it. Well, talking about a happy factor. So you talk about playing golf. I love playing golf as well. How's the golf game these days?
It's been so up and down. You know, I won the club championship here in 2020. I won the senior club championship in 2022. Those are coming up this year. This week, I got the member. And I today I'm not playing golf, but what I am doing, I'm going up to the driving range with all my present woods and previous ones, and I'm switching shafts and lofts, and I got to get my driver and my hybrid and my 3-wood down. That's where my weakness is right now. If I can get those under control, I got a chance.
That's fantastic. I love it. I love it. It's one of those games where, you know, you love it and you hate it all at the same time. And of course, it all depends on the day.
And I always ask which golfer is going to show up, the guy who can shoot 72 or the guy who can shoot, 87. I don't know which golfer is going to show up. One of those two guys will show up.
Exactly. I love it. Well, I'm going to, before I offer up what the special invitation was for people, I'm going to have it a little bit open-ended question. So if you had some just personal insights or things that you would want to share with people out of your extensive career and all that you've experienced here, with retirement planning and your exposure over the last couple of decades, what's the one message that you would really want people to hone in on?
Well, you can make your own mistakes or you can learn from other people's mistakes. And I try to learn from other people's mistakes. And so that's why I would say, it never hurts to read one of these books, read some white papers, do some research, really dig into the math and science behind this stuff and work with a trained financial professional like yourself. I mean, I don't believe retirement's a do-it-yourself project. Do you think every person who does it themselves is following about 30% in income annuities, 30% cash value life insurance, 40% investments? Do you think they have a plan for long-term care? Do you think they're going to be okay if inflation's at 7% for 10 years or if the market goes down and stays down for 20 years? The do-it-yourselfer is not prepared. They don't understand sequence of returns risk, which is a huge risk. That if you retire and start taking money out and the market's going down, that's a great way to quickly run out of money. And so I just think you gotta follow the formulas that are proven. Why deviate from something that's proven? I mean, I'm just doing exactly what I'm telling other people to do. That's what I'm doing. And look, I'm living a great retirement. I'm loving it. Okay. I feel like I'm a kid at camp. I just got off the pickleball court. I play pickleball on Tuesdays and Thursdays too. So, I mean, I am living the life that I want to be living, and I want everybody else to live the life that they want to be living.
100%. That's fantastic. I love that. So guys, if you guys are interested, if you guys would love a copy of Don't Worry, Retire Happy, we've got a special offer for those listening. The first 10 people that either go to our website, hit a contact us and put a request in, or email me at ShawnMaloney@retirewisepro.com. That's ShawnMaloney @retirewisepro.com, or simply go to the website and use the contact us form. First 10 people that submit a request in, just say retire happy. We'll send you, and we'll get your mailing address. We'll send you a special copy of Don't Worry, Retire Happy, one of Tom's books, that with collaboration piece on the covers and stuff with myself as well. I'll also send you a copy of my book, The Priority of Retirement, and we'll get that out to you. So just hit us up on the website or send us an email. If you want to know more about Tom, we'll have some stuff in the show notes. You can go to tomhegna.com and find out a lot more about his other books and other things that Tom has to offer out there. Tom, it was a pleasure. Really appreciate you coming on today, bud.
Thank you, Shawn. Great to be with you.
Thanks for listening to The Priority of Retirement with Shawn Maloney. If you enjoyed the show, check out our reviews on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. For more free resources to help with your retirement journey, go to retirewisepro.com or check the link in the show notes. You can also download a free copy of Shawn's book, The Priority of Retirement, or reach out to discuss working with him directly at retirewisepro.com. Thanks for listening.
Insurance products offered through the insurance business RetireWise LLC. RetireWise LLC is also an investment advisory practice that offers products and services through AE Wealth Management LLC, AEWM, a registered investment advisor. AEWM does not offer insurance products. The insurance products offered by RetireWise LLC are not subject to investment advisor requirements. Investing involves risk, including the potential loss of principal. Any references to protection, safety, or lifetime income generally refer to fixed insurance products, never securities or investments. Insurance guarantees are backed by the financial strength and claims-paying abilities of the insuring carrier. This podcast intended for informational purposes only. It is not intended to be used as the sole basis for financial decisions, nor should it be construed as advice designed to meet the particular needs of an individual situation. RetireWise LLC is not permitted to offer, and no statement made during the show shall constitute tax or legal advice. Our firm is not affiliated with or endorsed by the U.S. government or any governmental agency. The information and opinions contained herein provided by third parties have been obtained from sources believed to be reliable, but accuracy and completeness cannot be guaranteed by RetireWise LLC. Guests of the Priority of Retirement are not affiliated with, nor do they endorse Shawn Maloney or RetireWise LLC.